Hi, so I thought I'd quickly jump online because everyone keeps talking about the PAYG cash flow boost, and there's a lot of confusion around who is entitled, what they're going to get, how they get it. So quickly, I just thought I'd run through what it is and what the main conditions are to stop all the confusion. So I'm going to quickly share my screen and run you through it. So what is the PAYG cash flow boost? Well, basically what it is the PAYG that's withheld from employee wages is normally paid to the ATO through an activity statement, and that's either quarterly or monthly. What the government is saying is that they'll provide a credit for that PAYG element, and that credit is anywhere between 10,000, which is the minimum, up to 50,000. And there are basically two tranches. The first tranche is between the months of January and June of 2020, and it gets credited against the March activity statement, which is due on the 28th of April. Then there is the June quarter BAS, or if you're monthly, you've still got the April, May and June ones that will be lodged. The total amount of PAYG is claimed in those months as well, up to a total of 50,000. And then the amounts that are being credited between April and June are added up. And then whatever that total comes to, that's the entitlement for the second tranche, which sounds really confusing, but we do have a calculator that you can go to our website and download, and it runs you through how to claim it and how much actually you get as a credit. Now, the amount that the ATO does credit you back is a tax-free income, and the ATO applies that automatically to your ATO account. So after you lodge the BAS or the activity statement for the month, the ATO then credits your account with the relevant amount that you're entitled to. So you don't apply for this separately, and there's not really much you can do to get the credit before the 28th of April, because that's when the first tranche is credited. As I said, it's a minimum of 10,000. So if you added up two lots of 10,000, that's 20,000. If you're claiming the maximum amount, it's 50,000 in the first tranche, and then 50,000 in the second, making it 100,000. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get cash. What it means is it's just a reduction in the debt that you pay to the ATO, because you still might have to pay GST as well, or you might actually have other debts that you need to pay the ATO. It could be prior debts or anything that you haven't got a payment arrangement for. So it's not necessarily a cash flow boost, because you may not actually get the cash. I think that's really important to share. So who and what is excluded? Basically, you had to have been running a business and be registered before the 12th of March 2020. So you can't just, set up a business now and claim it. You have to have been active on the 12th of March, and you have to have been registered for PAYG withholding as well. And normally the ATO knows that because you lodge your payroll through single touch payroll. Now, some businesses are also excluded if they haven't kept their bookwork up to date. So if they didn't lodge a tax return before the 12th of March for the previous financial year, or if they haven't lodged their BASs or activity statements between July 18 and 12th of March. So all of those tardy businesses out there that just haven't kept up with their lodgements, they're now excluded as well. Payments to contractors are not included either. Some people get confused by that, but basically an employee is normally paid through payroll and superannuation is paid. There's certain things you have to lodge with the ATO and provide the employees. So you can't just pretend now that, you're including contractors. They have to have been employees as at the 1st of March to be included. Sole traders and partnerships, so partners in a partnership, are treated quite differently because they can't pay themselves. The amount they take out as drawings is not covered by this credit. If they pay staff, they can claim a credit for the PAYG withheld from staff wages. Personal services income is also excluded. You need to speak to your accountant about that, because there's certain conditions relating to that. There's also an integrity measure, which basically is there to stop business fabricating or manufacturing scenarios with the sole and dominant purpose of basically getting this cash flow credit. So just be wary about, you know, suddenly now pretending that you've got to pay people wages when you never did before, if your only reason is to get a benefit from this stimulus incentive. How do you claim it? It's pretty easy. You just got to lodge your activity statement, and the first credit will be applied on the 28th of April. You don't need to lodge your BAS earlier than that, because you won't get a credit anyway until the 28th. The ATO will then calculate the credit for you and apply it to your balance owing. So let's say you've got a debt on your account, which is quite old, and you haven't made an arrangement to repay it, then that credit gets applied against that debt. So it might be a good idea to ring the ATO and get payment plans in place for any old debt. Don't let it sit there. If you do have a payment plan in place for old debt, then that's fine. The credit will be applied against the current activity statement. So obviously, let's say you've got GST payable and the credit doesn't cover the GST, you still got to pay the difference to the tax office. If the credit is actually bigger than any of the other, you know, elements of the BAS, then that difference is actually refunded. So not many cases where the amount will be refunded, but there are certain situations where it would. What are the next steps? Just go to our website and download the free calculator we have on there. It's an Excel spreadsheet. Put in there your PAYG amount for the March quarter or March month, and then estimate out what the future months are going to be, and the calculator will calculate exactly how much credit you're entitled to. If you have ATO debt, obviously get in touch with the ATO to reduce it. Get your activity statements reviewed by someone. If you're unsure of how to prepare your BAS, then run that past your accountant, or give us a call and we're happy to have a look as well. And also finally, just consider your situation. If you're suddenly doing something really differently to how you were before, you might get flagged at the ATO data matching program for suddenly trying to claim something that you weren't entitled to before. So please proceed with caution. Finally, hopefully this cash flow boost does give you some sort of relief from your ATO obligations, but do remember that it may not result in cash, and don't rely on that cash to be coming in. And that's it from me.